I have a couple questions here about comics and kind of new ways to distribute them, either by shipping less, more frequently, or by doing anthologies or kind of holding off and the Netflix model, like you drop four comics at once. There's a lot of different ideas out there. And I love that there are a lot of different ideas, but definitely some are better than others, or at least some have a better chance of succeeding in the Western market than others. So let's take a look at them. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. There's been a lot of good conversation, I would say, about shipping comics in different ways. About maybe the old monthly, mostly monthly 22-page format just doesn't fit with the current kind of environment and how people like to consume comics and everything else, and that maybe there's a better way to get more distribution, more material, kind of help it out. And to do that, I think a lot of people kind of cast about and look at what's working in other mediums. And I think there's two to kind of focus on. In the game industry, you might have a good, high quality, game that comes out once every 5, 6 years. I'm sure they trying to think of the exact. I mean, it seems like Assassin's Creed, they vomit out another one every year. But if you look at like The Last of Us, so forget about the controversy of Last of Us 2. Some people have been asking, by the way, why don't I do a video on The Last of Us 2? And the answer is, well, I haven't played the game yet. I don't have a lot of interest in playing the game because of just the zombie genre is boring to me. And if you really want to hear me talk for 10 minutes about whether a trans character killing off the main character, oh, spoilers, of the previous series is a good idea or not, I mean, I don't know. I mean, no, I'm probably not. Not with the trans part, but like you get a lot of investment into this Joel character. It seems like I don't know. You just kill him off. I, I, I mean, that seems like you're leaving money off the table for kind of a shock moment. Or are the two new characters is Ellie and the other new character, the villain, I guess, the trans character who's a villain or not. Or I haven't played this game. I don't know, but is there enough money in these new characters to kind of keep going? Why would you want to get rid of a main character like that? I don't know. Whatever. The whole thing is kind of weird though, because your character can die just like you stumble into some zombies and like you go to get a drink and you forget that your game is unpaused and like the character gets eaten and so a character can die all over the place. I don't feel passionate about this argument. I've already talked way more than I probably intended. But anyway, the point is games. You could ship less frequently. So the argument there for comics is let's not do monthly. Instead, let's like collect up 100 pages, do a really good job with it, ship it once a year, and do it that way. That's one approach. The other is kind of the opposite, is to say, why don't we ship weekly and go to the grocery stores, go to a bunch of places in the newsstand that are used to this kind of thing, and either create a kind of a weekly anthology book that could come out, or start shipping things that are 10 pages instead of 22 and ship it more frequently. Both are interesting ideas. Both have their flaws. The flaws with the delayed shipping plan is that a lot of what gives comics its excitement and kind of its attachment is that it's happening so regularly, and it's like a TV show. It's the Netflix model sounds great, but we definitely see it working out better for some than others. Even Game of Thrones, when it had its long kind of 2.5 year delay between seasons, you saw abandonment. You also saw a lot of raised expectations. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to bring some talent that is really maybe the 5% of people who are working in comics today can pull that off. Most can't. So I think the whole business and the economics really changes. Now that said, should publishers, big ones and small ones and everybody, try for a model of having maybe a once a year really special kind of thing? Yeah, I think the annual idea in comics is a good one, actually. And I think it's time to rethink that annual approach, where maybe you put out a super high end, really nice, comic once a year for your main characters. And if you're Marvel, for example, you probably have 12 characters that you could think of. You could probably do, let's just count. You can do Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, your Deadpool, your Captain Marvel, your Black Panther, your Doctor Strange. Now I'm starting to reach a little bit. I think I've forgotten some here. I've got 8. I'll put it that way, and I'm sure there's a couple more. But you align them to your movies, and you basically publish one issue a year, like an annual, and you bring like the biggest talent you can afford, and you do a prestige 48 page, super like go ahead and do like bring in Barry Windsor Smith and do a Wolverine story, or have have Art Adams do something, or J. Scott Campbell could do Captain Marvel, or I don't know. There's people who love and hate these, but the idea here is that you bring some really top art and writing talent. You do one issue a year. I think that's a good idea, and I think if you did them once a month, then you would have a comic out every month. You have this prestige, super format. I think that's a good idea. I think the same thing could work with DC as well. You kind of space it out a little bit. Let's see if I can do it there. You have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. I guess Harley Quinn. You throw her in there. I'm at 6. God, who am I forgetting? Aquaman, sure. If you want to line to the movies, you throw a Cyborg in there, maybe Joker, Robin, sure, why not? I got 10 now. I'm sure there's a couple more. But anyway, you do that, and you just once a year you have this really high end book. I think that's a good idea. On the other end, the smaller. I don't think the newsstand problem. Somebody suggested this. I don't think the problem with the newsstand is that they're not shipping frequently enough. I think because there's a lot of magazines and newsstand that are monthly shipping magazines. I think the challenge is to make something really accessible. The newsstand it won't fit with Marvel's current strategy of like shipping 80 books. The newsstand can consume maybe 4. So what maybe the answer there is to take a page from Shonen Jump, and you do create some 10-page kind of things, and you ship once a week a kind of a Marvel anthology kind of thing, and it's like Marvel Comics Presents meets Shonen Jump with a bunch of different characters and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's an approach, and that could definitely work. And I think it's probably what the newsstand needs. I don't think they can consume comics as they currently are anymore. So you're going to have to come up with something just completely different, and that's just going to be the way, that market kind of can consume comics. So that's probably where things are at there. But they're good ideas. I think the idea of different distribution models, different things to think about. It's definitely needed. I think the current model is clinging by a thread. A lot of people don't like it, or they like it, but they don't know what else to do. And I think it's stuck between a rock and a hard place where the comic shops will howl if you try and do anything different from what they're used to, because it's not what they're used to, and they're worried that that's threatening and everything else. But the world is threatening to these shops at this point. They need to let go of this idea that that things are going to return to bliss. It wasn't bliss before the pandemic. It's absolutely not bliss after. So you're going to have to adapt, and to do that, we got to think maybe a little bit differently about how these comics are going to be distributed, consumed, where they're going to go, how they're going to. I mean, it doesn't work anymore. And to cover your eyes and assume that if everybody would just go back to the way things were, which is the way you personally are comfortable with, and the world gets better, forget it. That's just not going to happen. Cars beeping all over the place. Anyway, what do you think? Different distribution models. What other options do you have in your mind? I'm sure there are a couple. Let me know in the comments below. I'll address and kind of read those. I'm going to try and read more of the comments in videos before. I enjoy doing that. It's fun. It's super chats without super chats. That's what it is. Super chats without you spending money, I guess, is the way to go. Anyway, like, subscribe, comments, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.